which is the national anthem and the Southwest anthem. And I'm very sure every one of us will be able to at least go on with the national anthem. Maybe the Southwest, you can follow us as we take the lead. So the national anthem, 1, 2, go. We hear our own as stones in brotherhood we stand. Nigeria has got to sing your song in the Southwest anthem. Iṣẹ́ wà fún ilẹ̀ ibi wá. Àgbéga fàyè rí gbàgbọ́ wà ní pé bá ṣe bẹ̀rù làbọ̀ mọ́ ká ṣiṣẹ́ ká ṣiṣẹ́ ká ṣiṣẹ́ ká. to like give us a little short background about the event.
Good morning. Ẹ káàárọ̀ sà, ẹ káàárọ̀ mà. Àbí ṣé sà ni àbí ẹ káàárọ̀ àwọn alàgbà, ẹ káàárọ̀ àwọn ìyá wa. We want to sincerely appreciate you for coming this morning because it's a celebration of a legacy that concerns every one of us. You know, and it also reminds us of what has happened in the past to show that, we are supposed to be building on the legacy of what has happened in the past. When people in 1956 sat down and said they want to build a skyscraper, we are products of deep thinkers. You know, we are products of deep thinkers. So we are supposed to build on that, and that is the essence of what we are doing here today, to bring back those memories so that the young ones will be able to know that of the kind of heritage, you know, they are made of. And that is very beautiful. Thank God we have young people here that they should inspire them to be. All the time. Please, or your State Ministry of Education, please, can you just let us, and the teachers, let us, and of course, the University of Ibadan, HOD, and other, please, can you, and the students too, and students, please stand up, let's see the students. Oh, that's fantastic. Sorry. Of course, we have the host organization here in the house, the Dawn Commission team, led by the DG Dawn Commission, Dr. Seye. Please, Dawn Commission, let them see it. Thank you so much. So, like I said, we've had series of Yoruba Historical Conversations in the past. If you go to our YouTube page, you'll see them. If you have different speakers, we've had Professor Banji Akintoye, we've had Professor Bolanle Awe, we've had Professor Adeshina too. We've had Professor Adeshina, we've had different historians telling our histories from different perspectives. Professor Shion Oyeweso was also one of the suspects in one of our sessions. We also had Professor Akinto Oshutokun. Professor Akin Oshutokun was also had one of the sessions. So if you go to our website, our YouTube page, you will see some of those past lectures on our YouTube page. And I'm very sure that you have one or two things to learn about your heritage. I don't know if they still do it. If our grandmas or grandfathers want to try and motivate us to do stuff, they will start telling us this is what you are. So if you are all marking, they will let you know you are all marking that all marking brother shoujo. So to tell you that for us as Yoruba people, somebody ignorantly said that Yoruba are lazy or something like that, and you find out that it's part of what happened. When people are not connected to their history, they will bound to not to appreciate what has happened. And that is the essence of the Yoruba Historical Conversation, to connect you to the histories and to let you know what your forebearers have done, to raise the region to this level. The first television station, it was said that we got the first television before even France. Before DSTV came, the Western region has gotten, television station. Those are the kind of people that are your forebears. So you are supposed to be inspired to do greater things. The Liberty Stadium, if you look at the estate, the Bolija estate, the industrial estate in Lagos, these are so when somebody comes and say, your Yoruba people are lazy, it shows the person is not in touch with the reality of his heritage. But as Yoruba people, we are proud people, because it's not empty pride. There are things to show for it. In 1955, they declare free education in Western region. That's changed the game for no region in Nigeria could do that at that time. Even 5 years after, no region could do that also. So it shows that where you are coming from, you are supposed to be boastful, so that it can also inspire you to do greater things. And it can also inspire you to say that there are things that your forebears have done even before the Europe that we run to, before they could start thinking about it. So it shows that you can do greater than what those forebears have done. And that's the essence of Yoruba Historical Conversations. So if you go to our YouTube page, you will see some of those things that will tell you, some of those lectures that will tell you some of the things that the forebears have done even before now. And that is what Dawn Commission is trying to put on the table with this Yoruba Historical Conversation. And today, I'm very sure it's not going to be very different also, to also show that we are celebrating Cocoa House at 60, but around Cocoa House, there are other landmark innovations that also come alive around Cocoa House. But Cocoa House is just the symbol that we are going to be celebrating today. So please, let's not take it for granted, because this is not just an ordinary lecture. It is about telling you your own history that you ought to be conversant with and be able to defend, when anybody comes up to say one or two things about the Yoruba people. So please, thank you. Then one of our header statesmen also comes in, Dr. Bandoshe. Please appreciate him. Anything in education in Southwest, in Nigeria, internationally, I don't know if he is in charge. He has made a lot of impact in that space, and he's one of our supporters. You cannot say resource person because we cannot pay him. We don't pay him, but we tap from his resourcefulness every time. Please, a round of applause for Dr. again. So I'll call on the MC, my colleague Biodun Abioye, to continue with the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Biodun. So on the next, so we have on our next is the opening remark to be delivered by our Dr. Seye Oyeleye, the DG himself of Development's Agenda for Western Nigeria Commission. You are welcome, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Let me apologize for starting about 48 or about 40 minutes late. We had some technical issues with our media people, but I think they are ready now. I want to warmly welcome you to this edition of Yoruba Historical Conversation. As my colleagues have said earlier, it is one of our pillars at dawn to ensure that our history is properly told. If you don't tell your history, others out there will give their own convenient narrative. So when we started this, the ideas from our own perspective, we will tell our story. And as my colleague said, some of our giants in history in this continent, they have graced this podium to tell our story. And again, as Biodun said, the last speaker, we make no apologies for telling our story from our own angle. You know, when you look at social media today and you see a lot of narratives flying around, and you understand that the reason we have these narratives at times is because history is not being taught in schools, or someone has sold the wrong story to our young ones. It is not uncommon to find a 35-year-old Yoruba man who does not understand or know his own story. So when someone comes around, recently a famous pastor in his church was alluding to the erroneous belief that the Yorubas are not strong people, that they are cowards, and that it's people from the other parts that are strong people. And I said, it's not your fault. I checked his age, it's 49. If a 49-year-old man does not know his history, he can easily spew nonsense to the Gen Z that attends his church. But I'm glad that we have a new generation of Yoruba people, young, articulate, and brilliant minds who are attempting to put our story in proper perspective. And I'm excited that we have a lot of our university students here, because you own the future. You own the future. And it's when you attend things like this that your understanding can be deepened. When I was in university, in those days, we never had internet or social media. It was programs like this that fed our inquisitiveness. But today you have your phone, and if you use this phone properly, not just on Instagram or one-line tweets, if you decide to do a lot of digging deep, you get massive information that will educate you. So I'm glad that you've taken time off. I know some of you are even in the middle of your exams, but you've taken time to come and listen to our guest speaker. And I also want to thank people from the Ministry of Education. Thank you for turning up. I say this all the time. If we invite you and you don't come, it will be a poorer event. So the fact that you are here, we are grateful, we are thankful, and appreciate your presence. We don't take it for granted at all. The theme, which our speaker will be doing a lot, it's called Transforming Today's Resources into Tomorrow's Legacy. Cocoa House as a beacon of audacity. Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues from Odua Investment Limited, our respected group managing director, who I'm told is about 5 minutes away, and dedicated staff, brilliant students, devoted teachers, and friends from all walks of life. A warm welcome to this momentous celebration. We gather today in honor of 60 years of the monuments that dare to touch the sky when others barely dreamed of leaving the ground. Today, we commemorate Cocoa House at 60, and with it, we celebrate the audacious spirit that built it. This lecture marks the 14th edition of our Fiscal Yoruba Historical Conversations series. Our last gathering was on Lagos in Yoruba history, overcoming the politics of alienation, delivered by Professor Rashid Oyeleye, University of Ibadan. Between our physical events, we have successfully organized more than 6 online editions, ensuring that historical discourse on development in Yoruba land continues. We are privileged today to have with us Professor Adetunji Ogunyemi, an economic historian, lawyer, and public affairs analyst from the only university in Africa, Obafemi Awolowo University. Sorry, did I say something wrong? Okay. Okay. Sorry. I'm biased. I went to Ife as well, so. Professor Ogunyemi brings a rare combination of expertise that makes him uniquely qualified to illuminate today's theme. His multidisciplinary perspective positions him perfectly to help us understand how the audacious thinking of our leaders has brought us here to recollect on what they have done and the development lessons we can learn from them. Let us journey back to understand what we truly celebrate today. Cocoa House, our Cocoa House, the first skyscraper in West Africa, stands as a testament to the audacious vision of bold and unconventional leaders at the pace-setter Western region. It took radical imagination to envision a structure like Cocoa House nearly 70 years ago that defied the norms of time. Cocoa House is 60, but I'm sure it wasn't commissioned the day they started the construction. Has told us that as early as 1956, they started conceptualizing the idea. So if you look at 1956 to 2025, that's 69, 70 years, which 70 years ago, they were thinking, let us have something like Cocoa House. So again, as reflected in a report by Daily Sketch on January 10, 1985, Daily Sketch used to be a newspaper for the Gen Zs. It used to be a newspaper in Nigeria, here in Ibadan. First, we built the 10-story cooperative bank building, then the finance corporation building with a few more floors taller, and finally the Cocoa House, 25 floors in all, for about £2 million. But that was just the beginning. We also had the Western Nigerian television, first in Africa, established in 1959. We had industrial estates, farm settlements that thankfully some of our governors are now resuscitating. We had Liberty Stadium and a host of other groundbreaking infrastructure and development in the southern world, but were built with cocoa money and through the dedicated sweat of our farmers. Managed with wisdom and invested with bold and forward-thinking resource. and not with those who think the probably bring the audacious vision of the regional leaders like Obafemi Awolowo and Samuel Ladoke Akintola, men who set the pace of development in the whole country. Cocoa House is not just tall building many know. It has once housed a branch of National Bank. To put this in global perspective, 1979, our Cocoa House had already, it is more than a building. It is our resilience and unwavering commitment, symbol of our progress in 1985. The response revealed the character of our people. Among those who contributed across Oyo State, only they have to thank our teachers. This audacious thinking and doing is what I believe we are making today in our students and all present. An abnormal thinking of doing things today is the person I call Bishop Dave, known as Winners Chapel. But an establishment of Covenant University 23 years ago has become one of the top ranking universities in Africa. And then the ongoing 200,000 capacity auditorium is expected to be among the wonders of the world when completed. And at the moment, the construction is already attracting visitors flocking to the place to see. That's who refuses to accept limitations. Signpost of an abnormal and skyscraper decades before Dubai, speed trajectory had taken the turns it should have taken. But now it is time to reclaim that spirit of ambition. We must dare to think and act in the development strides of places like China and Dubai. To lead the way we need now is that same beyond convention, boldly, and reshape the development trajectory of our region for the next 100 years of our forebears. But whether we can exceed them. If they could build West Africa's first skyscraper in a colonial state, what can agency? They will be working together with the Commission to achieve develop and and with this, we hope Southwest becomes a region of for us as our beacon of audacity. Reminds us that with vision This not just for Nigeria, but for the world. Let us do so with open minds. Or they happy deliberations. Thank you very much.
A round of applause once again for Adetunji.
Good morning, sir. My fathers, my brothers today, and we are proud to be part of this represent Think Yoruba First organization. We are Yoruba advocacy organization. We advocate for the interests of Yoruba people in the Nigeria entity. As we can see, we understand that we are part of Nigeria, and within Nigeria, we have to fight for our right in legitimate manners. So we are not a troublesome group. We are people that advocate within the ambit of the law. This is about us. We have a small message for us this morning. As we are here today celebrating the great achievement of our past leaders, we want to ask ourselves, we that are this generation and the generation before us, what are we going to leave for the next generation? If we are here today celebrating our past heroes, their audacity for great leadership and development, what are we leaving behind? What will be our own legacies? Today, Cocoa House as a symbol of leadership during the pre-independence era is still standing and is challenging us. What are we going to do? How are we going to go about it? I think we should start searching within ourselves how we also can put our name in chapters of history. And of most important, we need to realize that gradually our identity is being eroded. We need to start looking inward into reviving all our identities and reenacting the greatness that our forefathers have shown us. As we go on with the program today, we hope to learn more, and we hope to get the inspiration to lay our charge into developing a greater future, even greater than what we are celebrating today. I greet also in the name of Tiwa here, and we are also inviting our youth population to consider joining us, the movement for strengthening the political future of Nigeria and for channeling our efforts towards greater development. May God help us. Oju Agbewa.
Thank you very much for that inspiring message. And of course, we've been listening to so much inspiring thoughts and remarks from our guests and everyone. So we would like to now have a lighter note of entertainment. And as we know, that has everything whatsoever. And we can see that our youth are also coming up to showcase our identity, our cultural identity. And on this note, I would like to invite Ayoka Kewi from the University of Ibadan to give us his our rendition. Please, let's jam our hands together for her as she comes.
Yeah. Ayoka mo lang. Lónìí. Ṣèdí ẹ mọ́ ṣe jẹ́ kó sún mi ṣe ìdánwò inú ilé àwọn bàbá tó bí wọn lọ́mọ ìdájọ́. Èyí sì ni yàrá. Ìpàlẹ̀ ẹnu ìyàgọ̀. Àyọ̀ká wọ́n kéyìn wí pé fún iṣẹ́ takuntakun Èdùmàrè yóò mọ bá mi tẹ ẹ̀yìn síwájú. Ìjẹ̀ lágbára ọlọ́run àwọn ní wọ́n gbàgbé. Mo ní láti inú ilé wọn. Èkìtì kìí kúkú ṣe pẹ̀lú sọlì bíra bàbá yìí ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ nìyẹn Èkìtì onífẹ̀rẹ̀ ọkà bí iyán láéláé wọ́n ní bí ẹ bá wọn ní títí ẹ bá ń gbé bọ́ mi Èkìtì jẹ ẹ bá ń gbé bọ́ mi Èkìtì jẹ mo bí nínú ilé àwọn bàbá tó bí yín lọ́mọ. Èkó bí yín o. Èkó ọ̀rọ̀ mi sálẹ̀ gbẹ̀lẹ̀gbẹ̀. Gangan. Yóò máa gbọ́ ọkọ̀ olùkọ́ tó lákẹ́jì wọ́n fi jù wọ́jà wá ní gbẹ́dẹ́. Ọ̀sẹ̀ ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ olú ńlá ọlọ́dọ̀ mọ́ ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ yóò ṣe yájú sí mo fi nínú ìyàwó bàbá tó fi yín lọ́mọ gbẹ́dẹ́. Wọ́n ní ìyàwó bàbá yín bá ti jókòó ti dilé owó àpò ti jókòó ti dàpọ̀ tí a ṣe Èkó akẹ́kẹ́ oníbàjẹ́ o. òde ẹ̀yin lọ ní ẹrú àpọ̀ lójú ogun tí wọ́n ṣe ní mẹ́ta tí wọn kì í ṣe lẹ́gbàá lájẹ́ wọ́n mú mi ṣẹ́mi ní mẹ́ta omi odò òkun náà mo nínú àwọn bàbá tó bí yín lọ́gbọ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ wọ́n ń gbé ìjàrá bàbá kò kí olúmọ náà kò lẹ́gbàá lájẹ́ bàbá yín èèyàn tó bá ṣerú rẹ̀ lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ gbogbo olúwa yóò ní ìparí ààrẹ lọ ẹ̀gbá oníbàjẹ́ o. Ondo ti yọ. Ondo ti yọ. Lọ́wọ́ sínú ìyá wọn bá àwọn ọmọdé mi. Olúwa bàbá tó bí yín lọ́mọ ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ ọdún tí wọ́n gbọ́ ìdá ìjàmọ́ ọmọ mi láti fi ojúṣe yọ mẹ́ni dábùjì dájá ògbó wọn sọ pé yóò ní dájá mọ́ ọ̀jájá ni wọ́n mọ̀ pé tó bá ti níwò yí ọ̀la èyí lọ́la nínú yàwọ̀ bàbá tó bí yín lọ́mọ gẹ́gẹ́ ni ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ Ayọ̀pẹ̀ ẹ̀ta ọmọ Ayọ̀pẹ̀ ẹ̀ta àrẹ́pẹ̀ta wọ́n tó gbà á Ayọ̀pẹ̀ mi jẹ́ mo níta jí ẹ̀ gbà sálà wọ́n yìí yóò tún bá lọ́tẹ̀ ẹ̀jẹ̀ bọ́bí nínú yàwó bá bàbá bí ìlọ́mọ gẹ́gẹ́ ni Ondo oníbàjẹ́ o. Ọ̀tún ti yẹ o. Ọ̀tún ti yẹ. Kí o ṣògbòrò kí o máa sálà. Mo ní bẹ́ẹ̀ nínú ẹ̀jẹ̀ náà lórí ìyàwó bàbá mi ló ń tẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ kí ọmọ sálà ìrìn ní gbogbo ní yàrá tẹ àgbẹ̀dẹ akọ́kọ́ kan ní ìjà ogun bàyíká iwájú ní ìjà olùmọ̀ọ́sìn wọn ìwé máa lọ tẹ̀lé mi ò bá mọ̀ ṣe máa tó lójú máa tó lẹ́nu máa gbàgbé ìsàlẹ̀ ní wóríwórí wọ́n tàbí bí wọ́n nílò ilé ìṣòwò ọkọ ní onímọ̀ràn ní àgbàdá ní òyìnbó bí ó ṣe ṣe ẹ̀yìn lọ́mọ Ayọ̀pẹ̀ta ọmọ Ayọ̀pẹ̀ta Ayọ̀pẹ̀ta wọ́n tún gbàrà Ayọ̀ká lèmi jẹ́ mo níta lèmi bá pẹ̀tẹ̀ ẹ má ṣe gbà lọ́wọ́ mi o. Àárọ̀ tí bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́tún ló jẹ́ kó máa ràn wọ́n mi. Ọ̀tún tí bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́sọ̀gbọ́n ló jẹ́ kó máa wọ́n mi jọjọ. Ìlàjẹ́ kojú ẹ̀kọ́ra tí ń gbé lómi ṣègè sí aláyọ̀ ayọ̀ àti ẹ̀kọ́ tó ti ẹ̀ mọ́. Ọ̀tún tí yóò. Ọ̀yá. Àbẹ̀rẹ̀ ìlọ́sí ìkùlé ẹlẹ́yìn ìkùlé ó gbọ́dọ̀ jàjẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni òun láti tún dànù babaláwo ti fa wọn ní ìpìlẹ̀ bá ti gbé ìyàwó ẹ̀dẹ̀ gangan láàyè wa ẹni wọ́n pè ní ẹ̀gbọ́jà lọ́jọ́ sí ẹni tí ọmọ tán wọ́n lọ ṣe béèrè ègbó ọmọ rẹ̀ lù Ọ̀yọ́ náà ní tọ́tọ́ pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọ̀pọ̀ ọlọ́pàá tó ọ̀pọ̀ ọlọ́pàá tó wọ́n mú àpàtàgbórí àpàtà Ọ̀yọ́ àdìdá tí wọ́n lójú, adáwọn lọ́pọ̀, adáwọn lọ́rùn, adáwọn gẹ̀rẹ́ wọn àjàgàsẹ̀. Ẹni tí ọmọ tán, ó yẹ ṣe pàdé lọ́yọ́ ọmọ láti ọdún pàṣẹ kẹrẹ mọ́jú ọmọ tá àti bá ó. Ọ̀yá ló lọ́ba, ọ̀yá ló lọ́ba, ọ̀yá ìrọ̀lẹ́gà, ìrọ̀lẹ́gà, ọ̀yá lé. Àjòrò sùn. Wọ́n ní lọ́wọ́ nínú ìyàwó bàbá òbí ìlú ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀. Ìlú Àjàyí, ìlú Òjò, oníná porí kí inú ìyàwó bàbá tó bí yín lọ́mọ. Ẹlẹ́sìn lomi tí gbogbo ọmọ láyé forí mú. Àtẹ̀jìdá ló ní agunmọ̀kù ẹ̀ nínú ìlú Ìbàdàn. Ibi tó kù ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ náà pè ní bẹ̀rẹ̀. Ibi tí ogun parí sí, omi náà pẹ̀lú ogun pa nínú ìyàwó bàbá tó bí yín lọ́mọ. Ọmọ akọ́kọ́ lórí yóò. Ẹ̀ka tí olóbòjò, olóbòjò ló lẹ́yìn ọmọ onífẹ̀ẹ́rẹ́. Lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ lọ́sẹ̀ mẹ́fà ló kọ́ lé o. Lórí níṣẹ́ tó bí rí ọmọ àwọ̀. Kàlẹ́, èmi níṣẹ́ tó bí rí ọmọ àwọ̀. Ẹ̀kọ́ lọ́dún méjì mo lò gbọ́. Ẹ̀wọ̀n tí egungun tẹ̀ ń fà mí lára bí àjẹ́. Omi nínú lẹ́wọ̀n bàbá tó bí yín lọ́mọ ni. Iná bá yín lọ́mọ tẹ̀sán gbọ́nà sómi sòrò. Ìbàdàn ní bá jẹ́ o. Ifá ló ní yìnyín bẹ́ẹ̀ ni sẹ̀mí kun. Òun ló ti fún Ifá tẹ̀rù tí sọmọkùnrin ìgòdó wọn ní ti ṣe lóore. Àwọn ìyàwó Elédùmarè, àwọn ìyàwó gbéni láyìn, ẹlẹ́dàá tó bá gbéni láyìn. Ọ̀pẹ, àwọn ìyàwó Elédùmarè, àwọn ìyàwó ẹ tún lè sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀mí ìfẹ́ mi. Èmi dúpẹ́ mo dúpẹ́ kọ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ mi, ẹ̀yin aláyẹ̀tì mi. Ìgbàlọ́wọ́ mi láti ìlú Ìbàdàn. Ẹ jẹ́ mo dúpẹ́.
Wow. Ah. Orí mi. Ó kàn jẹ́ pé kò kí igbó ní. Igbó Ọ̀yọ́lé náà nígbó. Ẹ̀bọ̀ orí mi òwú tó ń gbà tí ó kìgbó. Tó bá dé gbòòrò ní orí ìyá máa yọ owó lápò máa nà. But let's appreciate her once again. Like she's enough to be a cultural asset, and we can see how some of our youth are all coming up and getting to get our identity back. Of course, many will say that our identity is rolling away, but you can see from her hand that's a fantastic presentation. Let's give her a round of applause once again. So it's an assignment for us. So while we're having our presentations, we have the GMD Odua Investment Company Limited. He came in and he settled here. Of course, we've been waiting for him. He's the one we've been waiting for the past couple of minutes now. So we'd like to invite Mr. Abdurrahman Yunusa, the GMD and CEO Odua Investment Commission. They are the managers of the cocoa house. They are the one that have managed the cocoa house up to this 60th anniversary. Come, sir.
Thank you very much. Ekaro Ajiri. Yes. It's a pleasure to be here. And before I go far, I would like to specially congratulate the lady that just gave us that recitation. So congratulations, one more time. Àwọn ò lè jáde ká náwó torí nígbà tó kí ẹ gbà orí mi wú. Bá a wà, a máa fi nǹkan ránṣẹ́ sí. So distinguished guests, esteemed partners, custodians of Yoruba heritage, ladies and gentlemen. It is with immense pride and profound reverence that I stand before you today as we commemorate the 6 decades of Cocoa House. It's an edifice that transcends brick and mortar. It embodies the audacity, the foresight, and unwavering spirit of our Yoruba people. This is a monument born of vision. When Cocoa House first graced Ibadan skyline in 1965, it was more than just Africa's tallest building. It was a revolutionary statement. It was conceived at the zenith of Nigeria's cocoa industry. It symbolized a bold departure from extractive colonialism towards self-determined prosperity. Our forefathers, I'm sure you're wondering who are these. Our forefathers, which includes ordinary farmers, traders, and of course, our leaders, pulled together the brown gold, as it was then called, from the harvest of their cocoa. They were able to generate an ambition that was far beyond the cocoa seed. They transformed the fertile soil into steel and glass, proving that today's resources, when stewarded with courage, can become tomorrow's immortal legacies. As the investment arm of Southwestern states, all the 6 of them, I'm sure the rendition of the music we just had identified all the 6 states. So I'm not going to repeat those 6 states. It is those 6 states and their resources that was put together to create the cornerstone of our identity, which Cocoa House stands for. So for 60 years, this icon has witnessed a lot of events, from post-independent optimism to economic transition. I'm sure those of us who are old enough know a lot of events happened during military regime. Yet, this structure withstood all those challenges. So today, we at Odua Investment Company, we honor the legacy of our forefathers through the following. Number 1, preservation and innovation. We have meticulously restored cocoa house to its original grandeur while integrating 21st century infrastructure, ensuring it remains a competitive commercial hub. Thank you. Number two, economic stewardship. Just as cocoa profits built this tower, Odua Investment Company is reinvesting the returns from cocoa house and all other investments into critical sectors, such as agribusiness, real estate, hospitality, healthcare, and all other regional economic development activities. Number three, institution building. We emulate, and I use the word emulate in sense of responsibility, because we are very, very far from our founding fathers. But we'll continue to emulate the founding fathers' ethos by nurturing enterprises that create jobs, empower our youth, and foster sustainable wealth, from Lagos to Ekiti, from Ogun to Osun, and from Ondo back to Oyo, where it all started from. The imperative of audacity of legacy building. The theme of this year's anniversary is called Transforming Today's Resources into Tomorrow's Legacy. It's not just a rhetoric statement. That is our own position in Odua Investment Company. In an era of rapid change, we must ask ourselves the following question: how do we leverage our human capital, our cultural wealth, and natural endowment to build institutions that will stand for centuries, even long after we are gone? Cocoa House answers these challenges because it teaches us the following information. Number one, visionary courage to invest beyond single terms. So we're not like regular politicians who just look at the 4 years of their term. We want to be here for centuries to come. Number two, the collective will to unite diverse stakeholders. And number three, cultural rootedness to anchor progress on our identity. So this is a call to action. First, we applaud the Dawn Commission Development Agenda for Western Nigeria for putting together this dialogue. And of course, I salute our professor that is going to give us an insight into our history. Because as they say, if you don't know where you're coming from, you cannot determine where you should be going. To all our custodians of Yoruba history here present, from traditional institutions to the academia, from government, private sectors, let us pledge, as we normally pledge at Odua Investment Company, to protect our heritage as foundations for innovation, to empower our youth with the tools to build their own cocoa houses of the future, to collaborate relentlessly in making Southwestern Nigeria a global model of self-reliant progress. So in closing, as the Ijala chants just recited, I'm sure still echoing in our minds as we go, may we live today re-energized to plant seeds for the next 60 years and even beyond. Let Cocoa House remain our own northern star, reminding us that from the soil of ambition, giants can actually rise. Odua Agbogbowao. Thank you all. Long live Cocoa House. Long live the Yoruba legacy. And of course, long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's continue with the round of applause for. So, alongside the GMD, we also have engineer Soji Songobi. He's the technical assistant to the GMD and the head of special projects. We also have Mrs. Odun Ayo. Let's give them a round of applause. We have Mrs. Odun Ayo Adeni. He's the group head human resources, OICL. We also have Mr. Kazim Oguntoimbo, the brand and communication manager of OICL. And I think he's going to give us a short order of program for the subsequent events we are having to celebrate the Cocoa House. The event has been going on for a couple of weeks now, and we have some events next week. He's taking, can you come in? Are you ready now? Okay. Let's give him a round of applause.
Ekaro Bugwole. So on July 30th, 2025 was the actual date Cocoa House clocked 60. And we had a commemorative balloon release, and some of the people who are very active on social media will have seen videos of floating objects in the sky. So that was just to commemorate the event as the exact date. So other events, today's one of the other events. So tomorrow we'll be having a health walk and a charity visit to also advocate for wellness and supports for charitable causes. So next week, Monday, we have a young people focused event, and I'm sure many young people here would love to be part of that. So from 3 p.m. on Monday at Cocoa House, we'll be having an evening with our esteemed GMD. So that event is an opportunity to engage him, have deep conversations on the essence of Cocoa House, what it means for us at OICL, and also inspire that we can build more Cocoa Houses, just as he mentioned earlier. Then on, from on Monday in the evening, just in our premises at Cocoa House. Then on day, we have a grand finale, which is the formal celebration of Cocoa House at 60. So it's also happening in our premises at Cocoa House as well. So then we'll have long speeches, long celebratory moments. And we'll also be having panel discussions, proper formal events where we all come together and catalyze ideas that can inspire us to take our next steps to greatness. So that is Tuesday by 11 a.m. Cocoa House premises. So everybody here is also invited for that event. Then on the third note, the entirety of next week, Monday to Friday, we are having what we call a open house. So everybody is welcome to visit Cocoa House, the premises. So we also call it Cocoa House Complex. So Cocoa House is just the epic building that denotes the complex. It's an entire stretch of land stretching up to Sketch Building after ShopRite. So it's an entire complex. So we invite you to come around. We've made a number of renovations to the surrounding areas. People who have been there 5-10 years ago, when you go there today, you would struggle to recognize that you are in the premises of Cocoa House. So we invite you to come. Then also, as part of the open house, we have a museum called Odua Museum and Hall of Fame on the 24th floor of Cocoa House. So the museum tells stories of our people, artifacts from our history, and also celebrates people who have had impact in different sectors of human endeavor. So access to the museum will be all free from Monday to Friday next week. So that is also one of the ways. So come and enjoy the story of the building, and also come and enjoy the story of our people at the museum. So we hope to see you on Monday. We hope to see you on Tuesday, and we hope to see you sometime during the week, next week, at the museum and at Cocoa House. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Kazim. So we also like to introduce one of our daddy in the house. He just clocked 70, and there has been an exhibition show about how he has transcended all the way from the early age of his years to now, and what he has done to Yoruba cultural promotion and the likes. So we have Dr. Tunde Adibola in the house. You are welcome, sir. We like to have you in the front, sir. Oh, okay, sir. So we also have Mr. Dr. Olarewaju Atayeshi, who is also present in our midst. So you are welcome, sir. So of course we are now launched into the lecture proper. And before that, we'd like to invite Kende Adebayo to read the citations of our guest lecturer. You're welcome. Let's give a round of applause for her.
All protocols duly observed. If you have been enjoying Yoruba Historical Conversations so far, say Odabe. We are born you. All right, so distinguished ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends, it is my honor today to read the citation of Professor Adetunji Ogunyemi. Professor Adetunji Ogunyemi is an accomplished scholar, teacher, and multidisciplinary intellectual whose expertise bridges the fields of history, law, and public finance. Professor Ogunyemi's academic journey reflects on common birth and death. He graduated best student in the 1991 set of Bachelor of Arts in History program at Lagos State University between 1988 and 1991. He went on to earn a postgraduate diploma in advertising from the Nigerian Institute of Journalism, Ogba, Ikeja, between 1994 and 1995, and a Master's of Arts in Economic History from the University of Lagos between 1996 and 1997. In 2001, he began his legal training at the University of Ibadan, graduating with a Bachelor of Laws in Business Law between 2001 and 2005, and was subsequently called to the Nigerian bar. He completed his Doctor of Philosophy in Economic History at the University of Lagos between 2006 and 2009, where his thesis was adjudged the best in the faculties of Arts, Business Administration, and Law. Further advancing his legal expertise, he obtained a Master's of Law in Constitutional Law and Public Finance from the Obafemi Awolowo University between 2012 and 2013. Professor Ogunyemi joined the Department of History, Obafemi Awolowo University in October 2011 as Lecturer 1. He rose to Senior Lecturer in 2014, Associate Professor of Economic History in 2017, and attained the rank of Professor in October 2020. Thank you. Over the years, he has conducted extensive research on Nigeria's budgetary processes from 1939 to 2010, interrogating the gaps between revenue generation and failure of development in critical sectors such as infrastructure and social welfare. His doctoral research, recognized by both the University of Lagos and the National Universities Commission, has been celebrated for broadening the frontiers of knowledge in Nigeria's financial historiography and for offering practical solutions to persistent fiscal challenges. His scholarship is as deep as it is wide, with over 33 scholarly rich publications to his credit. I think you might want to applaud him for that. Beyond the lecture walls and research libraries, Professor Ogunyemi is a respected public affairs analyst. He shares his opinions, insights, and ideas on major radio and television across Nigeria and has authored numerous articles in national newspapers and contributing to public discourse on governance, history, and development. In recognition of his outstanding contributions to scholarship, his leadership in classroom, his voice in the media, and his profound insight into Nigeria's economic and political history, we are honored to welcome Professor Adetunji Ogunyemi as our guest lecturer today. Ladies and gentlemen, rise and help me make welcome Professor Adetunji Ojo.
We need more hands, more hands. Yeah. Welcome, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. By the permission of the DG, I will make this interaction conversational. Solid prints, papers, reading, yeah, it's ready. I will be handed over. But it shall be conversational. How? First, the intent of this paper is to show that Cocoa House was not the only landmark deserving of this historical recognition. That's the first. Second, to ensure that those who are here, 80%, more than 80% of us, of people that are seated here, are younger than Cocoa House itself. Much younger. So if you begin to read paper, they may be lost within the first 10 minutes. But if you make it conversational, it shall be a good thing. Second, or the third, is that though Cocoa House may be new to people in may not be new to people in Ibadan. Just walk across to the district, all these, and then within just around 500 meters of. But those of us who come from the inner land, I mean, the inner recesses of Erushu Akoko, Ikare Akoko, Badagry, those who come from Shaki, those who are in the areas of Asaba. It is a wow. In fact, the original name of that house is Ile Awon Agbe. That was the first, and that was how it was conceived by the man who built it. Who was that man? Dr. Akinola Maja. Akinola Maja built it. When? They started conceiving in 1956. But 1958, his leader, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed him to be in charge of the National Investment and Property Company of the Western region. Now, you will wonder why they will call a regional organization national. Why national? It can be confusing to today's generation. People who are less than 30 years of age, national. If you take that name to the Corporate Affairs Commission and you want to register it, they will send that National Council. Don't put it there. They will register it. But it was national. And it reminds me of the National Bank itself. There was also a bank established in 1933. This Dr. Akinola Maja was one of the co-founders. Dr. Maja was born in 1988. In 1888. Can you imagine? In the previous century. 1888, he died in 1976. He identified as a Lagosian, but he was originally an Egba man, born by a Saro father who migrated from Sierra Leone. You know, Lagosians have their different peoples. Saro, Amaro, Egun, Awori, who were the original founders. Now, this Saro son was educated in Birmingham as a medical doctor. 1918, he graduated and finished. His name was actually Shodipo Pierce. But when it was announced in 1918 in Birmingham that he was the best student in medical education, I mean, the organizers waited. They waited for about 15 minutes to cross-check whether it was possible for a black man to be the best in a class of 23 students, and he was the only black who came tops. They refused to acknowledge that it was possible. But when they cross-checked and they discovered that it was actually yes, that won the best prize, they were dazed. And from that time, 1918, he decided that he could bear a name that was so close to the European name. I mean, Pierce. What's the meaning of that? In Yoruba, what's the meaning of Pierce? It's meaningless. And they could still not acknowledge him, then he would change his name. He changed his name to his exact father's name. Maja. Adaramaja, really. The full name is Adaramaja. So he shortened it. He became Dr. Akinola Maja. It was what we call the engine room. It is good and possible that leadership will drive vision. But I tell you, the instrumentality by which visions are achieved is in the hands of the technocrats. People who really know the art and science of managing men and materials to achieve results. Maja was one of them. In fact, was a distinguished member of the Egbe Omodudua. He was president of that Egbe in 1953. His leader, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed him to be in charge of the National Investment and Property Corporation or company in 1958. And what was the function of this NIPC? To receive the proceeds from cocoa export and sales. And those proceeds were received and managed by Maja. Just as our brother here is in charge of your investment company there, Maja was in charge of that engine room that collected money. They did not fritter it to build the cocoa house. So what was the process? He gathered men and materials together. People who were like him, technocrats. Imagine the medical seeing a major civil engineering construction company, construction projects, and he did it well. So they gathered money. Now, the project, they cut the first sword in the year 1960, really. But they had begun to prepare the ground from 1958. So, where was Awo then in 1958? He was a premier. But by 1959, he had ceased to be premier. And his lieutenant, S.L. Akintola, a polyglot, one of the finest leaders that anyone could get. Look, what Awo had in capacity to plan, meticulous planning, that was Awo's unique selling point. Meticulous planning. S.L. Akintola backed it up in the capacity for mass mobilization. Nobody could mobilize men. He had the power of oration. He spoke Hausa language like he spoke his Ogbomoso Yoruba. And he was one of Nigeria's finest. No more for political, if you like, political engineering than for lawyering. He did not backtrack. He did not set up or set aside the dream of his leader. He continued, and they requested Kapa Dalbatu, which I understand still has one of his offices at Mokola Roundabout, here in the ancient city of Ibadan. And if anyone should decide where the cocoa house should be built, it will be the prime minister, isn't it? And he decided should be in the CBD, Central Business District of Ibadan. Dugbe. Why would Ibadan have such a building? Why Ibadan people noted for producing cocoa? Of course not. Should have been in Ondo, isn't it? Maybe in Idori. But you don't, where the head is, you don't turn it upside and begin to walk with your head and then free your legs. The headquarters of the Western Region government was Ibadan. So it was reasonable for the reason of urbanization, for the reason of the marketability of the building, to site it in Ibadan. Ibadan itself had been established around 1829 by an Ife migrant called Lagelu. So became a factory. Migrants, the Oyo elements, the Ekiti elements, the Kigba elements who helped to rout the Fulani, wanting to take over the Yoruba land. Thank God for the Battle of Oshogbo in 1840, Ibadan elements distinguished themselves. And the leaders of the West did not argue as to where to site the cocoa house. They agreed perfectly with their leader. SL was in charge. So it becomes who built cocoa house. I want people to begin to know that history has no way of being sentimental. SL built cocoa house. By what? By requesting the technical assistance of his lieutenant, Dr. Kionla Maja, who also brought in people who helped him. So, cocoa house came to the fore. It was completed from start to finish. They did it in 6 years. Start to finish, 6 years. In fact, by 1964, cocoa house had been completed. It was because of the political events at that time, you know, the census issue, the federal elections, that the premier delayed the commissioning. And the following year, 1965, he commissioned that gigantic building, 24-story standing. July 30th, 1965. Papa Davato built it. Italian company. They did not give the building to a company that will ruin it. That is the sharp difference between the generation now and the generation before now. In fact, in one of my papers, I said, Cocoa House, Obafemi Awolowo University, Western Nigerian Television, and the Liberty Stadium, the 4 indisputable civil engineering construction that was done in this country, were built by human beings. Human beings built these 4 landmarks. Now, when Nigerians started to build, you could see the difference between Nigerians building and human beings building. You see the difference. The of Kappa and Dalbato were Dumez, Fujirol, Sole Bonnet, Boigis. These were the that were there in the 1940s up to 1970s. They helped give technical assistance to the building of the cocoa house. So, why is it not good? Because historians, we have a way of throwing back to situate whatever we say in history. We don't scratch the surface, because we ask ourselves, by what authority are you saying these things? By what authority? This is the foundation or the exact context within which cocoa house was built. Let's look at the Western region. What's the Western region? A part of Nigeria. And that Western region lies south, immediate south and west of River Niger. It covered an area of 45,376 square miles, the equivalent of 117,523 square kilometers. That's about half of Germany. If the southwestern part of Nigeria were to be in Europe, it would be a minimum of 2 countries. If we were to be in Europe. So I'm surprised when some people say, some people are apologetic. They don't want to be identified to say, they speak about Yoruba, they think that it will make them look local. No, I'm not apologetic at all. about the western part of Nigeria. If we were to be in Europe, we will be 2 countries. How many? What is the size of Portugal? It's only 93,000 square kilometers. And western region is 117,523 square kilometers. Now, today it is divisible into 8 states. Don't forget, when this western region was constituted, it was only part, Lagos State was only part for some time. In the 1952 Lancashire Conference, Nigerian leaders met in London. They decided that one of the things they would do was to detach Lagos from the West and to neutralize it, to make it a federal territory. Don't forget, from that time up to the year 2017, when Ambode rightfully brought Lagos into the Odua group, Lagos was lacking. And our name was absent, and our seat absent in the older enterprise. But which states were there in the western region? The states we now have today as Delta, Edo. In fact, the boundary of western region stopped in Asaba. In Asaba, that was the boundary of the western region. From Badagry in the west to Asaba in the east. Delta and Edo states were in the western region. Ondo, Oyo, Ogun, Lagos, Ekiti were included. So when you add the 6 plus 2, it will be 8. But from 1953, it was actually 7, as we had it then. 45,376 square kilometers. The vegetation was divisible into 3 zones. 1, the swampy area, mangrove. 2nd, the rainforest, the heavy rainforest where you have orographic rainfall. Ekiti, Ondo were in the middle of that rainforest. And then the Guinea savanna, Shaki, Kishi, Seye, Igbo, Shepeteri were in the Guinea savanna. These vegetable zones actually helped the productive enterprise of the people. Agriculture. And that was why other things that were built by that government emphasized the comparative advantage that the West had over agriculture. It was conceived, Obafemi Awolowo University, then before University of Ife, was conceived purely as an agricultural factory university. Just a university to advance the cause of the productive enterprise of the people. And that was why the Faculty of Agriculture of that university was the first to be built. That Faculty of Agriculture was actually the Senate building. Was the Senate building. And at the basement, an also chapel head is services. Now, the Western region, a base area now occupied by 8 states. I've said it. Lagos was not part of the Western region from 1953. She was not. And Lagos, in fact, did not rejoin the West until the Odua Investment Enterprise, until Mr. Ambode brought her into the fore. Now, according to the 1952 through 53 census, the Western region population were like this. It's important we state this foundation. Up to 6 years, 917,000 people in the Western region. Those who were 0 to 6 years, 970,000. 7 to 14 years of age, 576,000 people. And I'm talking in terms of male. Now, 15 to 49, male, 1,275,000. Female, 1,427,000. 50 and above, 233,000 male and 251,000 female. Total in the West that we had our population was 6 million. Now, major production enterprise, agriculture, was divided into 6 or 5 main enterprises. 1, cocoa, rubber which grew in the Delta province, oil palm, which grew everywhere, including wild oil palm kernel, a derivative of oil palm, and then cotton. The peoples of the region were 1, Yoruba, 68%. 2, Ijaw. Up to today, Ondo State is not a monolithic state. Ondo State has its Ijaw population in the SL, the local government of that state. Ijaw, Urobo. 4, Ishekiri. 5, Egun in Lagos. 6, Edo or the Edoid. And 6, Edo, and 7, Igbo. Is it not surprising that there were Igbo people in Western region? as about a Delta Eagle. How about that? And you are surprised that one Okorodudu, Mr. Okorodudu, was Nigeria's High Commissioner in Britain. In those days, the regions had their separate embassy, separate from Nigeria, abroad. Western region had its embassy in Britain. It had its embassy in Israel. The Northern region had its embassy in Saudi Arabia and did not have any embassy in Israel. So they pursued those things that were peculiar, critical to their survival. They did not have. So when was Cocoa House? Cocoa House in this? It was like this. What did the leaders do special that they could do such heart-shaking projects? Cocoa House, 1965, Western Nigeria Television, 1959, Liberty Stadium. Liberty Stadium was completed just 7 days to Nigeria's independence in September. Just 7 days to Nigeria's independence in September 1960. And the University of Ife. If you go to the University of Ife today, it still remains some of the buildings. Not now that ETF and Nigerians are building there. Human beings were building there. You saw the difference. Now, how did the leaders achieve it? There's something Awo called mental magnitude. That was Awo's language. Professor Moses, okay, digress that, disaggregated that and explain it. Leaders of the West were not who were just the run of the mill. Was this, was that. But we made concern all and sundry. No. They distinguished themselves not only in knowledge, but also in emotional intelligence. They were the best. None of them were riffraffs. Riffraffs who suddenly jumped into money and became a celebrity of no consequence. No. Mental magnitude was what they had. Second, they had a plan. They did not, our SL did not do anything without a plan. In fact, do we know that, let's record, our only became Premier of the Western Region in 1952. 7 years after he had left. And see the impactfulness of what he did. It's just 7 years. 7 years. By 1959, our at least, by September of that year, to be Premier of the Western Region. And SL had coming. SL was there also. And by then, pretending to be human beings, killed him. They were pretending that they were human beings. They killed that great leader. Now, they had a plan. What are the plans? 1955 to 1960 plan. It's in the Western Region sessional paper, which the document is still in the archives up to today. It is in the archives at the Obafemi Awolowo University. It is in the archives here at UI, Ibadan. 1955 to 60 document. If you see that document, you will marvel at the level of the mental magnitude of your ancestors. It's not for nothing that the Yoruba people are proud of their people, of their leaders. There's some arrogance is not the same thing as pride. Arrogant, but we are proud of our ancestry. Why? Because except you have distinguished yourself in the best of knowledge and capacity to organize men and materials, the Yoruba will not accord to you any leadership trait. They will not say you are a leader. You say it's rich, and say, hey, if fool can be rich, any fool can be rich. It's very hard work. I tell you, conductors not hard working. See the level of the way conductors behave in Lagos. They are extremely hard working. They will shout, they will come, they will come. The car will not stop, they will come out. It's hard workingness. Mental magnitude. 1960 to 68. Can you imagine? Said already was thinking of 1968 in 1959. Can you imagine? 1960 to 1968 plan. They had plan. 2. They had a think tank. No leader in the West can achieve success. You are leading a people that are the most difficult to lead. If you do not have a group of people, Lagos has it. They call it Governors Advisory Council, GAC. They were copying our template. And our had a think tank. What were they? One, the Egbe Omo Oduduwa, formed in 1945 at Owo. And second, they had a political backing in their party, the Action Group. Look, if we want to make this country great, T must be superior to politicians. When politicians can just do anything they have with their political party, then there's no center. There's no coordinating body. There's nothing to check you. It is on the authority and template of that political party you came to power. How dare you say that the party does not matter when you get there? It is wrong. It is like standing logic on its head to say that a premier will be superior to the chairman of his political party. It never happened in the Western region. Two sets of people used this template and they did it well. XL used it, I will use it, and they succeeded. There must also be technocratic class. That's the third. The National Investment and Property Company was a technocratic class, headed by Dr. Akinlamaja. To earn, to spend, to report on, to audit, and to show accountability. You don't put anybody in that kind of a group. Not just anybody. Not he who is hungry. It is he who wants to achieve something. Who himself is the embodiment of achievement. Maja distinguished him there in that area. High level of personal discipline and leadership, skills, emotional intelligence, they had it, and organizational skills. Constantly work to earn more than spending. In the 1955 to 60 plan, they decided that what the Western region will earn was 104.76 million pounds. 104 million pounds. That's an average of 20 million pounds for the budget per year for the 5-year plan. And how much did they plan to hand that? And how much did they really hand? They hand 124.86 million pounds. And how much did they spend? They spent 98.82 million pounds. They spent less than they earned. Not today. And it started in Nigeria since the military rule. There was always constantly spending and overspending budget to the extent that the budget became a nonsensical document rather than being a guide to fiscal discipline, prudence, and accountability. I mean, who is he that will say, I'm going to spend 20 trillion naira, and then at the end of the day, end up spending 40 trillion naira? And in explanatory, I say that after all, unforeseen contingencies are coming. Today in Nigeria, the unforeseen contingencies is even deified, codified, and legitimated in what is called, they call it, yes, Westernese. I mean, going to your central bank to borrow, there's nothing wrong in it. But imagine borrowing beyond the capacity of the central bank. Oh, yes. There's a name for this in economics. It is called quantitative easing. That is, the central bank, remember that quote on a bet. You can't give what it does not apply to the central bank. You will give it. And what is it? They simply just ask your bank, credit the account of that person. We are in charge. Through the monetary policy instrument, they adjust it. And what they are adjusting is just paper, not the bullion. Not the bullion. You will never find that with SLR. Awolowo was the last person that would do that. They did not overspend their revenue. Then 6, they had a high level of fiscal and political autonomy. And this is the area you will be a little reticent to criticize the modern day states. Because the Western region was really autonomous in terms of its revenue. It could decide which revenue to earn. Look, I told you, the Western region had its embassy in England, had its own high commissioner, Okorodudu, the father of Mrs. Okorodudu Fubara of the Faculty of Law, Yoruba University, was in charge. He died in 1980. Now, strategies for every public use of power and control, regional police and enforcement mechanism. They had their own police. They had their own enforcement mechanism. In those days, and I still remember it very well, that if you did not pay your tax, you could be physically apprehended in the public. They will catch you, put you, drive you, and seize you. You had to pay your tax, your poll tax. The regions had it. Today, no commissioner of police obeys any governor, except if it is to please come and take this money so that you can buy a jeep. You can buy this jeep for which they are not accountable. That's the only time you will see that they will come to the State House. In the Western region, they were in charge of not just the finances of the people, but of the suppressive apparatuses to ensure compliance with the laws that they made. Finally, to ensure that at all times, capex, that is capital expenditure, always exceeded recurrent expenditure. Today, since the year 1982, except 2004, when President Obasanjo balanced the budget, there has never been a time that Nigeria's recurrent expenditure ever was less than capital expenditure. Recurrent expenditure, for those who are interested, is the consumption expenditure. Expenditure you do for consumption. Capital expenditure is the expenditure you do to grow wealth, to create more wealth, and to maintain your infrastructure. Now, imagine Nigeria since 1982 has been spending between 17 and 18% of its total income on consumption. No, so what will be left for building? And that capital expenditure will never be released until, say, in the middle of the year. At any rate, the budget may not be passed until April. Can you imagine? The most powerful instrument for spending, you have not passed it until April. In the 12th calendar month, 12th calendar year. Now, by June, when you are doing capital releases, rain has started. Tell me, which road do you build between June and July? And October. So the capital budget is frustrated. Even though it is too little, yet the implementation and capital releases are delayed such that they are frustrated. You don't do that with AWO. It was impossible. Because first of all, there were savings from the previous year with which they could do what was called continuous spending and expenditure, such that pending the passage of the budget, the finances of these regions would not be stultified. Now, if that was the issue, then what were the objectives that produced the Cocoa House? The regional government decided, and I quote, they said they will create a welfare society. It's so clear. This is sessional paper. Create a welfare society in the Western region based on the true values of freedom and democracy. That explains why the Liberty Stadium is called Liberty Stadium. I mean, Nigeria was to get its liberty from Britain, independence, few days to that time. So they named that stadium Liberty Stadium. Our valued freedom and democracy. Democracy, however, for our should serve the welfare of the people. When democracy no longer serves the welfare of the people, that democracy itself is democratic. That democracy is no longer democratic. Now, they also attempted to create a social and economic order, which, quote, makes equal opportunities available to all. And three, to grow the economy in the direction that there would be, quote, a rise in income and standard of living derived from increased productivity and capacity. See, in the year 1959, the minimum wage, the federal government, was £1.10. £1.10. £1.10. And in the Western region, the minimum wage was £3.06. £3. And he said, Chief Obafemi Awolowo will raise the minimum wage to £5. And he said, no, it was impossible. How would you raise it to £5? He said, by what authority? Where would you get the money from? He said, where did I get the money for the free primary universal education? Where did I? You take money from the surplus sector of the economy to compensate the resource deficient. What you call sagacity of fiscal management. And that was why Cocoa House, see this house, 25-story building, they spent only £1,250,000 exactly to build that house. I'm not going to ask you to convert. Don't try to convert. Convert waiting. Don't convert. 1,050,000 pounds. 1,000 times 1,000 is equal to 1 million. Are you pretending to say that it's only 2 billion that built Cocoa House? Can you build it now with 2 billion? Can you even do just the wiring? Just the wiring. Or provide for the security of the place so that no militant comes to throw bomb in the place. You know, some people can be very hateful of your development. It is at the juncture of your celebration that they are waiting for you. I pray we will not fall into their hands. Providing of the Cocoa House alone in a year, I tell you, it's in excess of 1 billion. 1 billion. Not to talk of to build it today at 2 billion. Imagine if the Cocoa House had not been built, the money would have been spent, isn't it? And we wouldn't have had this kind of build. See the marvel, the civil engineering, and look at the strength of materials used there. Kappa and Dabato was a company that had an special capacity to create a middle course between quality and frugality. That is, it will use some resources, yes, but at the most frugal and cheapest prices. So it was chosen. They could have chosen Solebone. They could have chosen Boygis. They could have chosen Dumez, which built the bridge across Lokoja to Kotokarfu. They could have chosen it. But they chose the one say, see, we're a young region. We only got our independence from Britain in 1958. Don't forget that Western region became independent on its own in 1958. When Nigeria was not yet independent. Your Nigeria became independent in 1960. Western region was already self-governing. And so self-governing as to appoint its own ambassador. Cocoa and palm kernel, not persons. Exportation was not done by persons. It was done by the region. Rates who take income, who surcharge, who do grading. And do your grading of your cocoa to get the highest quality of beans. You will pay some rates. The regions were extremely very strong. In fact, the regions were richer than the federal government of Nigeria. So, I will show you just 2 more examples. And the one that we first of all show is that of Liberty Stadium. Just as the Cocoa House was being planned, the Liberty Stadium also was being planned. When? 1957. And when did they begin to cut the first sod? 1958. Who was in charge? The Commissioner for Agriculture and Community Development. Akedeko was in charge. Gabriel Akitola Deko was in charge. How many years did they spend in building that Liberty Stadium? The first modern stadium in the whole of Nigeria. Nigeria had not seen a stadium before until they came to Ibadan to see it. 1958 they started. 2 years it was done. Just 2 years. Look, I was said, I couldn't give you a contract and you will come to me a year or 2 later and say you are doing variation. You couldn't do variation with our variation means that you will say, sorry, although we agreed that I'm going to do it for 30 naira. But now that inflation has added, do you mind if we review it and say it is now 45 naira? I will work. It was from the beginning, the variation. And you know, the orientation about money till the last. They give the last account. In fact, they will bring the reckoner. There was one document they call reckoner in those days. I mean, my daddy that I hear knows what I'm talking about. Reckoner, 50 naira times 1,060 places. It will show you the report. I will bring out reckoner. They did construction. Started on the 11th day of March 1958 was when they started to build the Liberty Stadium. 11th March 1958. By September 24, 1960, it was ready. It was ready. And the premier again. How much did it cost? 521,050. 521,050 pounds exactly. To acquire the land, the Ibadan chiefs and senior chiefs said they will not demise the land free. They got money. How much did they get? 38,000 pounds. Let nobody go to that stadium now and say that he wants to collect Ishakole. No Ishakole there. Abu had already, SL had already settled it. He paid 38,000. Now, to now get an access road to that place, because it was on a hill, it was not a joke. It's not as what we look at, what we see today. They constructed the access road to that place at the cost of 35,000 pounds. Total cost, less than 600,000 pounds. Now, if you do conversion now and see whether Nigerians who are, human beings built Liberty Stadium. Human beings built it. I tell you, when you multiply 600,000 pounds by 2,000 naira, it will be less than just to do the environmental impact assessment alone. It will be less. It will be less. Again, which think tank can support this project? The National Investment and Property Company. Who was in charge again? Maja. Dr. Maja. Now, the architect was J.E.K. Harrison. But that J.E.K. Harrison did the design, including quantities and things like that. In those days, quantity surveying was not yet separated from architecture. They were doing it together. J.E.K. Harrison plus the Western Region Ministry of Works. Otto designed, devised, and helped to cut the first sword on Liberty Stadium. Now, that's not what is special. Let me show what is special. Do you know that as soon as they started to cut the first sword in 1958, Dr. Maja, acting under the supervision of his leader, Samuel Ladoke Akintola, appointed one man called Joseph Ogunyemi to go and study how to manage modern stadium in Europe. They had not yet finished the stadium. They had already sent someone on expense paid on how to go and manage it. This man went, they finished the stadium, and he returned in November of 1960. He managed it for 10 years. Not a single speck would drop in Liberty Stadium without him knowing. He managed it perfectly. Where did they send him? First, they sent him to Wembley Stadium to understudy it. Two, they sent him to City Stadium in England. Three, they sent him also, he spent 6 years at the London University Athletic Ground. And finally, it was at the Berlin Stadium. Can you imagine? In 1958, you are not yet finished. And you already see far ahead. The audacity of limitless vision. That's the title of this, my paper. The audacity of limitless vision. And the man returned and he spectacularly managed that stadium until Nigerians started managing it. Let me tell you one iconic thing that was done in that stadium. A world boxing fight was done. It was actually one of the first things to be done in Liberty Stadium was the world boxing fight, which was between Dick Tiger of Nigeria, Dick Tiger, and one American boxer called Gene Fullman in the year 1962, just 2 years. the anger, the bitter old man, about the voice of Africa, the voice of all kinds of views of the news media all over the world, beamed the Liberty Stadium as a wonder in Africa, in a benighted Africa, than they did the fight itself, advertising the Western region beyond words. See, show me a man that is diligent in what he does, and he will dwell and dine with princes and kings. When you distinguish yourself in the things you do, it does not matter. Any productive enterprise is an enterprise. The whole world will gather and they will celebrate. And that was what our leaders did. They did it well. Finally, Obafemi Awolowo University. Now, before it was called University of Ife, for our information, please, Obafemi Awolowo University was not founded in 1962. That's a mistake. The law establishing it was signed 8th June 1961. And if a law creates a thing, it begins to exist. University of Ife only started to take in students in 1962. It's like you. The day a child is named, is it the day is necessarily born? No, he would have been born first before he's named, isn't it? Meaning that his birth should be me. Our Babylon was established in 1961, and our VC Ogumodede before now had corrected that in our archives. It was not a 1962 university, but a 1961 university. Although it did not take in students until July of the following year. Yes, 1962. But it was actually born 1961. Now, tell me, Awo had ceased to be premier of the Western region in 1959. Who do you therefore think built the university from 1961? Who built it? Go and look at the mosaic that they put in my university now. They show the leaders, the VCs, those who created the Obafemi Awolowo, big leaders, not diminishing anybody. You will not find a single portrait of Professor Akintola. The historical injustice must be corrected. And that is why this lecture is making an attempt to correct it. If a man has done well, say he has done well. Say it. Say it. Don't hide it. SL Akintola signed it and appointed one of the best brain then, I just said, to be in charge. Again, which organization midwifed it? The National Investment and Property Company. The National Investment and Property Company. Now, what can we do today? We that are here, we have been saying this about our leaders, DS or ST or Nobamiro, Chief F.R.A. Williams. He made the law, was always writing the law, establishing all these things. I mean, show me anything that the Western region did that they codified in the law that it was not F.R.A. Williams that wrote the law. Show me. You won't find one. F.R.A. Williams, one of the leaders, we are also failing to acknowledge. He wrote the law. ST Onobamiro was the minister in charge of education under SL Akintola. It was he that wrote the minority report establishing the University of Ife. The federal government constituted a panel. They called the Ashby Commission. Say, go and look at the university to be established in Nigeria. They came out with a report. They said, one university in Ahmadu Bello, and one university in Nsukka. They said that it is University of Nigeria. And one university to honor the Nigerian Federal Capital in University of Lagos. And the SD, who was a member of the community, said, come. Where is the university for the Western region? I mean, university in another region, university in Eastern region. Where is the Western region own? They say, you want to take the whole of everything. Your people are highly educated. You are the one going to Britain, going to America, doing this, all kinds of degrees. Say, I'm not saying my people didn't do it. Where is our home? Say, but there's a university in Ibadan now. Onabadumino now said, sorry, the university in Ibadan is not a university.
It is a college of a university in England. Give us our own. He protested. He walked out of the meeting. His leader called him and said, you don't walk out of meeting. Don't walk out of meeting. They will take the decision at your back and you'll be bound by it. You will be bound. Go and write a minority report. He now wrote a protest minority report. Of course, you could trust Chief Obafemi Awolowo was the Uromi. He was the Uromi under the water that is determining the dancing at the top of the water. And then they submitted it. Tafawa Balewa had no option. Say, hey, okay, you see, we allow you to have a university. But first, it will be a regional university. One cover, we will not give. One dime, we won't give. You are on your own. But we permit you to have it. But don't replicate courses that are in the that are already existing in the three other universities. So no problem. So find it, okay. Then university education was exclusive to federal government. Ibadan had always been federal. The first state university in Nigeria was the University of Ife. It was the first state. I'm sure because I didn't say regional university state. A region is the same as a state. The regions built it. 1961, they made the law. By 1962, they admitted the first set of students who were occupying the campus of what you have today as the Polytechnic Ibadan. That was where University of Ife started. And that was why the students were educated for about 5 or 7 years until the university moved to its permanent site in Ile-Ife in 1972. The Western region now wanted to prove a point. Say, you are giving money to other people, and they have their university, isn't it? But to us, nothing. All right. Excel. Regardless of the disagreement between him and his leader, contacted the Kenya immediately and said, what do you think about this? And I will not be a person who will sideline development. Our politics followed development, not development following his politics. He prioritized the development of his people, politics. So, okay, I know of one of my friends with whom I have schooled elsewhere. His name is Ben Gurion. Ben Gurion. Ben Gurion was one of the world's first-class architects. He designed the University of Ife. Ben Gurion later became the Prime Minister of Israel. And when he was 90 years of age, he came to Ife to celebrate his, and we celebrated him. He designed that university. Up to this time, you can't find any university in Nigeria more beautiful than Obafemi University. You can't find it. You cannot find it. Now, Ben Gurion did not just design it, he recommended the engineers. What engineer? Seye Bone. Another Israeli company. In those days when we were primary school, 1973, we say Seye Bone, we see the vehicle. We call it Shino Bone. Shino Bone. Because coming from the inner recesses of northeastern part of Ondo State, we had not seen the kind of road we saw was the one that they would put, this granite that was, your vehicle was always oscillating like this on top of those granites. That was the kind of road we saw. Now, when we saw roads, as soon as we moved close to Ibadan, and we started seeing road, beautiful leather, thousands. We call it Shino Bole. That no driver will drive from this road and will not Shino. Ben Gurion, Seye Bone, built 80% of Obafemi University. Today, do you know what they did? After building the Trinity buildings, the Faculty of Arts, we call it Humanities, building number 1, number 2, number 3. They gave a guarantee that nothing will happen to the pillars and the beams, the columns and the beams in 25 generations. A generation is 25 years, times 10, that's 250 years. That if anything happens, the company will reimburse the Western region. We are just about 60, something years here.
And I tell you on the authority of my honor, nothing has ever happened to those meetings. What can today's generation therefore learn? What can we therefore learn from what these people did? What? This is what to learn. Number one, let our best be our leaders. Elect your best. So not that sheep should be leading lions. Have you noticed the quality of political leadership we have been electing since 1979? 79 was even fair. Have you noticed since 1993? The ill-timed, ill-fated Third Republic? The quality of leadership that we have been having has been affecting us such that our mental magnitude is now lacking in our political system. That's why you see someone whose sources of income is suspect being enthusiastically elected by little discerning electorate who have mastered the art and science of vote merchandising, buying and selling of votes. Even when politicians were not ready to buy, you will see people advertise and say that my vote is for sale here. To say, one of our professors joined a political party called COWA. His name, or her name, Professor Shonaya, sorry. We were to do campaigning in Ife. And you know, the Okada riders, you may not like them because of their nuisance value. But that nuisance itself can be mobilized for mass mobilization. And that's okay. Join us so that we can go from Abayagani straight to Isale Agbara, and then from there, Olorogbo, and terminate in Mayfair. I'm sorry if I mentioned Ilefe is the core of Yoruba culture. So you cannot expecting our streets to bear your white man's name. There is even a place in Ife called Balefefe, Balefefe, Isale Agbara. When you mention that kind of name in Lagos, they may be dazed. People ask, man ask that, yes, we fill their tank, I think about 5 liters, and give them 2,000 naira. And I called on their leader and say, what is the quality of, what is the meaning of this to you in your life? He said, no, Professor, I don't have any problem. That at least I will buy daily and Echo. Can you imagine? He was thinking only of just one meal. Mental magnitude was lacking. The quality of political leadership is suspect. There is a disconnect between Nigeria's structural federalism and our fiscal capacity. What do you do to a country or to a part? You say the Southwest is not doing enough for its people? Cocoa House should have been replicated in all the 6 states. Can't you be the equivalent? In Akure, in Ado-Ekiti, should be able, by now we should have been able, because one, we are better read, we are more populous, we pay more taxes. I tell you, the technical know-how is not lacking in the Southwest. How come that we are not able to replicate something like Cocoa House? Reason, the quality of our political leadership. Our political leadership has become so transactional that as soon as they buy the vote, they no longer feel that they are responsible to you. And do you blame them? Somebody put on the ground 14 billion to win an election. How dare you ask him that he's recouping his fund? Why will he not recoup? If you put 40 billion on the ground and you didn't do politics, I tell you not less than 2,000 people will work in your factory. 2,000. You take them out of poverty. And someone goes to spend that on election, which there's a high probability that he will lose. But God saved him. He now wins. The first thing to recoup is the money he spent on you now. The money is there on you now. So, we need to do something about that. 4 or 3, absence of mental magnitude. 5, long years of military rule has militarized our thinking. Do you know all these development enterprise we had? The people who cut it off, they discontinued it from continuing the military. This same essay that we are celebrating here, together, he was gunned down, was shot. Bravely resisting, eh? But how much can you bravely resist AK-47? How much? With Saddam Hussein, with all his weapons of mass destruction, the mother of all battles, because he ran into a spider's hole now. AK-47 has to respect for any kind of degree you are putting your. I mean, supposed to give a ballistic missile, and the next thing your reply to him is that you are reading poem. You start to cite poem. You say on the day the black monkey sees the alacrity, he forgets his anger. He commands you to forgive him. No matter what I might damn I miss. A blacksmith never know what to forge with iron dross. You are reading poem. Eh? If somebody calls the ballistic missile, is it poem that is the reply? They killed him. Therefore, this is my recommendation. Since the Western region achieved this feat, working by the instrumentality of his one, a group of thinkers, two, a to gather money and spend judiciously, and three, a strong political base to guarantee continuity and stability. I say it here that it is possible to use the instrumentality of the development agenda in Western Nigeria to start and to create that. And to make it very good, the federal government of Nigeria has now signed into law the Southwest Development Commission. They can partner as the think tank, while the development agenda becomes the template by which every state in the Southwest shall measure the degree of their development. So don't we set the templates and say, one, if a governor comes into office, can we please see your budget? Let's see your budget. No governor has any right to do a budget. Just does not have a right to do more than 2 budgets. You come into power, you do a budget for that year. And then the next budget, I recommend that it should be multi-year budgeting. Parinda and so many other people have recommended this 3 years. And say in the next 3 years, because budgets are strategic plans to do those things that ought to be done in a more perspective of long plan. So what do? Write no more than 2 budgets. 2. Let us have the KPI, Key Performance Index, which shall be drawn by Development Agenda in Western Nigeria. And 3, let the Southwest Development Commission be the source of income federally, yes, but also contributed by the regions or by the states to develop their area. Projects, I think we can is doable in the Southwest. We don't need to replicate it. Number 1, let me do something about Ashegiri Dam. If our Kenji Dam will not work, can't the Southwest Dam work? Generate electricity. In Ashegiri, it's just at the boundary between Oyo and Osun, and then supply electricity around. 2, can't we do something about a rail line passing through Ado-Ekiti, through Shaki, Seye, and then terminating in Ajowa Akoko? Is it not doable? Or even as far as Obajana? And 3, because we must just do something about the quality of the welfare of our people. Let us de-emphasize the idea of indigenship when it comes to employment. And our citizens should be able to get employment as a chief judge of Ondo State. Lagos is already doing it. All manners of people are principals, except the Ikorodu area that they protested. If you are not in Lagos, you can't do principal in Ikorodu. But go check out, Lagos is benefiting from the economics of scale of getting the best hands from all over Nigeria to work its states. How many people have been governor of Lagos who were originally Lagosians? Now you tell me what. Starting from Brigadier General Mobilage Johnson, was an Egba man. How about that? So the truth of the matter is that if you do these 3 things, 1, do something about power. 2, do something about railway. The way to move your people in a mass way, such that the economies of scale around the 6 states shall be distributed. And then 3, de-emphasize indigenship, rather emphasize citizenship. If you were born in a state, you should be able to claim the citizenship after about 7 years. Nothing should stop you, especially if you are married, if your spouse is from that state. If we do that, because it makes us look local, provincial. For somebody to say because he is from Oyo, he can't work in Ede or Abere in Osun as a director. That's Bukum. That's provincial. Bush people talk like that. They were the same before. They were in the same states. How about that? Or someone from Ekiti and he cannot work in Akure. What's the meaning of that? We need to create a bond of friendship, solidarity, and sagacity amongst our people. These are my suggestions. I thank you. I thank you very well. Wow. 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 Let's keep clapping. Wow. Wow. This is rich. This is rich. Like I'm blown away by facts and even the reconstruction of fact itself. And that's what Yoruba Historical Conversation is. It's more than just spinning facts, but reconstructing it. And we can see from our guest speakers our guest lecturers' presentations, he has really reconstructed history for us. What many of us have thought their history, we know more and we know better. That's the reason why you are here at Yoruba Historical Conversation. So a round of applause once again for our guest lecturer. So it's questions time. It's question time. So we like to, if you have any questions or comments about the lecture, just to one, the ushers, please ready.
Thank you very much, Biodo. Once again, a round of applause to before we take questions or comments, I want to use the fact that I'm holding the microphone to hijack 2, 3, 4 of our ancestors who are in the room to make a few comments, even if it's for a minute, to corroborate or even share their own thoughts on Cocoa House and the period that we're talking about. And we have a few of them here, not in any particular order, but I will start with the foremost professor of medicine in this country, Professor Famiwa, to say something. Professor Famiwa turned 80 last year. And I remember the very first edition of Yoruba Historical Conversations so many years ago. He was there. So I will take the microphone to him to say 1 or 2 things. Prof, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure and a delight to be here at this edition. I've always, even when I've not been able to attend, I've always followed it mentally. And I want to thank our guest speaker for a most illuminating session for all of us. Fundamentally, you know, my own perspective, most of what Professor Ogunyemi told us today, we lived through it. We lived through it. In 1965, I entered UI. And I lived in Okebola, Okeado area. So all that terrain, that territory, before Cocoa House was built, we knew it. you know, and New Court Road, Lebanon Street. And one thing that I would like to suggest to Dr. Seye, that one of the researchers, to historical pictorials, if they can dig it out, if they have pictures of that area at that time, and then what it looks like now, it's instructive. Like when you talk, sometimes people forget unless you read the books. Now, as I say, picture is worth 1,000 words. That sticks in the memory. It should be very instructive to remember what that place looked like before Cocoa stood there. And we know that Cocoa has gone through some periods of upheavals too. And we thank God that we're where we are today. So we saw it in terms of the politics, the development, the growth. We experienced it. I'm a beneficiary of our free education, you know. And I'm a passionate always. So I don't, but fundamentally, you raise so many points. And my own focus and concern has always been, what are the solutions to recapture this golden era? That was our golden era, unbelievable. And the trajectory for us would have been Singapore today if we had made to continue on that trajectory before it was destroyed. So I think focus, you mentioned, and I always say that Awolowo, if we are alive today, he will not moan, he will not wring his hands, he will lock the door and think about the solution. And one thing he has bequeathed to us is the ability to think. So these idea of thinking, we must have them to advisory group, in all spheres, in all disciplines, that must guide. That was what Awolowo did. As a government, they had intellectuals backing up these things. So we must think. Whether it's about lack of historical awareness of our youth, whether it's about their own being appropriated by other ethnic groups, that they don't know their own history and they can't speak Yoruba. There are so many dimensions to our challenges, but there are solutions. Figure it out, believe me. And so that is one of the things that DG will have to do. And we have on all fields. Let us think about and then work towards it, how to implement it. The Lord will help us. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. As I said, I'm randomly picking our ancestors to say one or two things. So I'm going to elude the ancestor. I'm going to elude the ancestor. Dr. Sade Taiwo to also say something. Dr. Sade Taiwo, she's not a consultant to Dawn. She is one of the authors of Dawn, not a consultant. Those that put together the document that created Dawn Commission. I'm standing next to her. Auntie, you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Great fair. Thank you very much for that. I remember our economic history. It was solid then. Yeah, and it's no surprise that you're doing this. Yeah, I'm happy to say, yeah, we're reviewing, and the purpose of reviewing is to see how to move forward. I think now there are opportunities to go back to where we were and see how we can improve. New opportunities emerge even in the context of the federal system that we're talking about. For instance, there is this 10% blending policy for, petroleum, ethanol, and petrol. Cassava is a major base for ethanol production. So that's an opportunity now. We can build cassava house. Also, palm oil was taken from here to Malaysia. I think my brother left. His father-in-law was the one that showed Malaysians what palm oil could do. I traveled down to Akpomu. A Don staff followed me that time to see a prospective, plantation. And right down from Ikire to, where's your place, this settlement? Agowu, and it was all palm trees. And now we have fast breeding species, 3 years, 4 years, 10 naira. And from calculations from experts, palm oil is a money spinner at a level that is higher than petroleum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And just one more ancestor. Witness that period and also understand what it means when we are talking about development in Western Nigeria. Sir Adibusi.
Thank you very much, DG. Prof. Baba, I salute you, sir. And the lecturer of today, GMD Odua, good to see you again. I won't go the route of the UI of Ife. Now, for me, what Prof is bold. The revisionism that had taken hold of Yoruba is what has confined us to where we are today. We are unable to break free of the revisionism. And what is that the revisionism I'm talking about? It is the refusal to acknowledge the incredible contributions of Akintola and transferring his accomplishments to his predecessor. That's why history is his story. It is somebody's story. And because history is written by the victor in any struggle, we have this distortion. Until we balance this injustice, Yoruba are not going to act as one. So for those, my younger ones of Think Yoruba First, it is the starting point, is to get this right. The second part of Prof's submission, party supremacy in politics, in democratic, political space, party supremacy. Those projects were projects of the party, not of individuals. And regardless of who took over, they were bound, they were committed to the successful completion of all those projects. So, like the Bible also says, somebody, planted, another watered. Success is what everybody's aiming for. So, in Western region, Awolowo did his own. Most of what he was involved in turned out to be laying solid planning foundation. His successor being of the same mind, because unless two agree, how are they going to walk any meaningful distance? They can't. So taking over with the commitment to those projects and with the party being behind him, they succeeded spectacularly. And how many of them were there? It is also instructive for younger ones. You only need a few good men and women to change the narrative. So we benefited immensely from the lecture that we received today. And I want to believe that we will start asking questions now and also try to make amends and come together so that we don't create the kind of divisions, or we don't perpetuate the divisions that are between Yoruba. The dichotomy has one single source. It is expressed in a myriad of political configurations, but it is this Awolowo Akintola division that has kept us from really progressing as quickly as we should be able to. And I would like that to be addressed. Thank you very much indeed. And all the best for the years to come, Odua.
Thank you very much, sir. For the young ones here as well, hello. For the Gen Z generation here, I'm sure you all know that, because I'm going to give the microphone to one more person before the questions, but I want to drop this. For the, hello, let's have one, sir. Thank you. For the Gen Z generation, I'm sure you know we are in a democracy, yes or no? And to this democracy, we had military rule. But for those who are studying history here, we had this democracy started in 1999. And I laughed that you want the military to come back. You don't understand what you're talking about. This is a democracy. And I say that the worst of democracy is still better than the best. So if you read in your history that there was a time we had a maximum ruler in this country who did all sorts to perpetuate himself in power. All sorts. If you are a historian here or a history student, you know the person I'm talking about. Abi? I don't want to mention his name, but you can mention his name. So he did all sorts and he stayed in power for 5 years. The man that spoke last, and he doesn't like me saying this, but I'll say it for history purposes, was one of those who was detained and tortured by the regime. He was detained with his wife. Not just detained. They hung him upside down. Yes, the man that spoke last. They hung him upside down. And his wife too in a different room. By the then, I think they were called SSS or whatever they were called in those days. Or NSA or whatever. NSO, thank you. Then the likes of Omenka and co in those days. People like him are those that fought for the democracy that you are enjoying today. Sir Benga Adebusi. They fought for the democracy that we're enjoying today. So I said it on. So I said this on purpose, so that you will know that there are people who were prepared to lay down their lives for what you are enjoying today. So when you go on social media and you tell us that your president has one leg, it's because you have democracy. In those days, you dare not try it. So before I open the floor for, I'll call on Dr. Bangoshi to also say one or two things. Thank you, sir.
Hello. Good morning or afternoon. I've just been so disturbed, so unhappy. So unhappy. You can't listen to these things and be happy. So for me, I'm just saying, so what next? We know where we are. The speaker was talking about doing all sorts of things, and it's simply because they don't have the mental magnitude or even capacity. Before you talk of magnitude, there will be some capacity. I talk of a few things that people who are leaders now don't have. They don't have capacity. They don't have competence. They don't have character. They don't have commitment. Are you following me? They don't have compassion. And the worst thing is the democracy that we say is supposed to be good has also been corrupted. Don't allow primaries in parties. So when you start from that base, I don't know where we're going. I salute all those who have spoken. Prof. Eshegoni, I didn't know I would see you before you go back. And I didn't know that Benga Ademusi was a bad guy like that. But let us leave this place with a resolution. What can we do? We have governors, but we don't have leaders. We need leaders who will take us back.
Thanks so much, sir. Let's give a round of applause for our elders. So, and I would like one or two comments from our younger ones as well. What do you think about the topic? What can you say? What can you say to corroborate what we have been discussing so far?
Can you signify so I can just...
You can signify your hands. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Olubenga, and I have two questions. And one is for the Odua investment managing the Cocoa House. I want to ask, is there a library at the Cocoa House that stores the, one of the, like our speaker said, about history? We don't know much about history because we don't read. And one of the reasons why we don't read is that we don't have this material to read. Last year I was looking for the book of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. I searched the internet, searched a lot of places. But thanks to the Think Yoruba Fest, it was on their internet that I saw on Twitter, that I checked the internet, and I saw the book of Baba. And the closest I've actually seen any of the book when I was small in my daddy library. But now, I wanted to ask, is there a library in Cocoa House where these materials are stored for people to access? And for the Akintola too, I think he is more of a speaker. Is there any surviving clips of his speeches where at the Cocoa House? And my second question is that for the creation of the Southwest Development Commission that was just done by the president, led by the Senator Lupum, is there any plan from down to partner with the Southwest Development whenever the thing is implemented, to actually incorporate with them and do anything, maybe by policy, to continue with what Don was doing?
Thank you. Please, let's keep our questions short in 1 minute.
Thank you very much. I'm Bukola Falade from Ministry of Education. We really appreciate the great speaker for inspiring us this morning, for giving us a rich past to know where we are going. And we say more grace to your help, sir. Since you've told us some things that we should go back to our territory, to impact and let them know that the future is ours. Well, I just want to ask a question. You are talking about Liberty Stadium, Cocoa House, NTA, but where I work at a station, they said it's the first fire station in Nigeria. I just want to ask, there are some people that work there in that. You said 1985, there was a disaster. What was that Cocoa House? And now I was now thinking where I was sitting that they said some people laid their life down. I was told that some people died there. But up till now, the department was not functioning well. And when they brought Federal Fire Service to this state, they started their own at Federal Fire here. The Oyo State Fire Service was laying down there, not functioning. Even the people there is no facility to work. Despite the fact there are personnel that are able to work, even that are very trained. Please, they are professional there, but they are not being taken care of. What can the commission do to empower?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I want to say thank you, sir, for a very good lecture, sir. And my question is based on how to get our best to be our leaders. You talk about vote buying. Look, my name is Moradi Oyese. Looking at the level of poverty, sir, what do you think we can do? Because there's a saying that an hungry man is an angry man. When some people are telling you, Okada riders, they are not talking about their future, they are thinking about how to solve their immediate need. I know they are working, but looking at the level of poverty, sir, what do you think we can do to get our best to be our leaders? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very. Hello. I want to start by appreciating, mine is a comment because it gladdens my heart that I'm here today and that I'm not here alone, but with my students. Well, I'm so happy because they are the future. They are the future, and because when they come for this kind of program, it is the platform to imbue in the younger generation the ability to think outside the box. My emphasis, because I teach development studies and economic history, and my argument has always been that, look, my students, there is so much wealth in this country. And that the Western people, the people of the Western world, they are not in any way special than our species. The only thing that they have that we don't, that our forebears had then, is that commitment to development. Commitment to development. That is it. And of course, Professor Ogunyemi has just told us today what our forebears, the way they were committed. They combined commitment to development and political will. It's very, very much pretty difficult to move ahead without that. And that culture is lacking. Is lacking. Each time we always say that, oh, what will be the solution? The solution is that we are not good to ourselves. That's just the problem. We are not good to ourselves, and we have to start inculcating that culture in the people. And then somebody just talked now and said, there is a question now before the professor that what can we do about this issue of poverty? And my prof, sir, I'm going to challenge you a bit because you kept saying that people lack, that mental magnitude. And I put it to you that where we get mental magnitude when already they suffered from material impoverishment. That is just the truth. Material impoverishment will always lead to inability to think very well. And so they are susceptible to all these 2000 when the election period comes. So I want to, on that note, thank the organizers and tell my students that what I've always been telling you as historians, we are in the best of the discipline, forget about it. And that a country without history, that country is doomed. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so my own is going to be a comment, not a question. And it's about, I'm going to start from where the last speaker, stopped. I don't think the problem of, Yoruba land is poverty. Like last year when, there was a crisis about food security and all that, I remember it's the Yoruba people that were shouting, oh, Ebi in power, Ebi in power. And I was wondering at that time that, are we the only ones in Nigeria going through the same thing? That did you see any Igbo man saying that, oh, Ebi in power, Ebi in power? Is it that everything about Yoruba people is food? What should we eat? What should we eat now? So when you say someone is an Okada rider, that's a source of income. Why can't they make, money from it? Why can't they make food from it? Number one. Number two, people in the past, Yoruba people were farmers. We had farmers, people were doing legitimate work. Now, if you go to places like Apomu, people who are, that their grandparents had the farm plantation, they have become Okada riders, they have gone into Yahoo. The girls are doing Olosho, they've stopped planting, they are not doing all those things again, and they are going on the internet to say, oh, Ebin Fawa. Each time we talk about poverty being the reason why people collect 2,000 naira, or why they shout Ebin Fawa, we are diminishing the day of an average Yoruba man. We are beyond food. We can do better than saying Ebin Fawa. Thank you.
Thanks so much. So,
thank you very much, Professor Ogunyemi. Mine is a comment, and my comment is that thank you very much, sir. And the late Alaafin of Oyo, Obalamidi Adeyemi III, in one of the private meetings that I followed one of my mentors to, he told Prof. Anai that if Nigeria is going to develop, that we have to move from what he called aristocratic of power to aristocratic of intelligence. Then unless we move to that stage, that this country is not going to develop. So then I was trying to think about Prof's topic, and I titled it Revisiting Yesterday Legacies, Dialoguing Today, and Thinking for Sustainable Future. I think that is what Prof did. But I have 3 questions to ask Prof. The first one is about agriculture. All over the internet, you see people organizing agribusiness, agri this and agri that. I am a farmer, and I have cassava farm, and I know the challenges I faced. Some people just bring themselves into a program like this, and they'll be preaching about agriculture. But you don't go inside the bush to farm. So how do we translate the capacity into what I call the effect? How do we bring it out? We have thousands of agricultural students graduating from university without a farm. Some they just did practical farm and do one HIS 314, and they said they've done agriculture, and they don't have a farm, and they're looking for white collar job. Then you say you are please that we can hear to convert the agricultural resources into the farm, inside and farm, and not. If they were able to build cocoa house with the proceeds of cocoa, what are we building with the produce of agriculture today? Then my second question is how do we solve the problem or the intersection between development and politics? Okay, development and politics. How do we solve the intersection? Thank you.
Just send. You can send your questions. We will have a lot of people requesting. So.
Hello. Ọ̀sán la wà yìí kẹ́. Ẹ dákun ẹ má bínú sí mi o. Mo nígbàgbọ́ wípé ọmọ ilẹ̀ káàárọ̀ oòjíire ni gbogbo wa ń bí yìí. Ṣùgbọ́n àbámọ̀ ẹni tí ò bá gbọ́ èdè Yorùbá, mo lérò pé ẹni tó wà lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ á lè ṣe ìtumọ̀ ẹ̀ fún un. Wọ́n ti sọ ọ̀rọ̀ tó lọ gẹ́gẹ́ bí Professor wa. Ṣùgbọ́n mò ń wò níwò wípé à ń gbé fúnra wọn. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wọ́n dárúkọ Awólọ́wọ̀, wọ́n dárúkọ Akíntọ́lá, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wọ́n ṣe gudugudu méje yàyà mẹ́fà. Ṣùgbọ́n a ti gbàgbé wípé òfin àti ìlànà tí Akíntọ́lá lò, ọwọ́ kan ti dojú ẹ̀
ọdún 1966. Wọ́n jẹ́ ká mọ̀ wípé annual commission lórílẹ̀‐èdè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì ń gbà ẹ̀ tó jẹ́ pé Western region ló ní. Ṣé ó ṣeé ṣe fún Ọ̀yọ́ state àbí Ògùn state kó náà lọ ní commission wọn ní òkúta lòdì nìyí? Kì í ṣe. Mo ń sọ observation pé ibi tójò kì í pa wá pọ̀, òfin jẹ́ kójò yẹn máa pa wá. Tá a bá dẹ̀ ṣọ́ra, bójú ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ máa wà pa títí Jésù ó fi dé nìyẹn. Wọ́n ń sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan pé capacity a ní ẹgbẹẹgbẹ̀rún àwọn ọmọ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá lọ́kùnrin lóbìnrin tí capacity ọgọ́n ti àwọn lọ́wọ́ lọ. Mo fi gbọ́ ẹni tán bí mo ṣe kúrò yìí. Recruitment process ayé àwọn ọmọ ọ̀sìn yìí ó náà ṣòṣì yìí ó ti yàtọ̀ sí gidigidi. À ń sọ̀rọ̀ òdì nípa wọn bí wọ́n ṣe gbá wọ́n ṣàwo wọ́n ṣèkòkò bàbá àṣà sùn. Ṣùgbọ́n ààrẹ nínú nígbà àti kì í ṣe pé ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà lẹ́kùn àjẹ́ ju bó ṣe yẹ lọ ó sì látúnṣe ṣùgbọ́n èmi àtẹ̀yìn àkọ́kọ́ gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ kí àwọn ọmọ ìwé ìkọ́mọ̀ pé delay gratification yẹn pọ̀ ní sínú. Wọ́n ní pé àfẹ́jìbò ní 2027 àbí kì í ṣe pé ìbò ní 2027 yẹn pé dandan ẹni tẹ́ ẹ bá fara mọ́ ó lè ṣe fàní. Ṣùgbọ́n ìṣètò lẹ́ẹ̀kan ṣónáyà náà lèmi tẹ̀lé ńgbà yẹn bó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ pé mi ò rí sójú rí. Wọ́n bá sọ pé ìwà ẹ̀kú bí ẹ̀ka àtọ̀. Tàbí ìgbà tó jẹ́ pé ẹ̀fín náà pàṣọ pé bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ìtẹ̀lé wọ́n ti lọ́tẹ̀ yìí ṣùgbọ́n ìwé màá jẹ́ kó o mọ̀ pé àwọn èèyàn kò nífẹ̀ẹ́. Tí a bá fi máa ṣe bí ẹ̀kíní ẹ̀kejì tí kò ní ọ̀bá nífẹ̀ẹ́ wọn ní ìgbádùn mi. Láti tọ̀ election cycle pẹ̀lú ṣàmàyà àtìfù èèmù mi definitely tẹ̀ bá tó cross we achieve it.
Ẹ ṣé gan. So a máa jẹ́ kí guest lecturer kan dáhùn ìbéèrè tí a ti béèrè so that wọ́n á lè mú abala kejì ìbéèrè. So since wọ́n sọ pé ká máa sọ Yorùbá so mo ti dá sí Yorùbá báyìí o.
Ẹ ṣé 3 minutes I'll be done. Just 3 minutes. The first thing is pé when will even the mental magnitude come? When you come? I mean, that's the first question. And this is it. See, it is escapism for anybody to use his poverty to explain away what he ought to do that he failed to do. Are you the only poor person? In fact, it is only poverty that the best of your innovation comes in. Have you noticed that it is only people that are desperate that get miracle? If you are not desperate, if you don't have if you have reached a final bus stop, that's when your miracle comes. If you still have options, you can still try other things other than God. You get miracle. That's the truth. Now, poverty, I know, can be very deprecative in terms of the mental strength a person has. But that is when he ought to free himself from that mental slavery. But Benny has already, I think it sang a song of emancipating yourself from mental slavery. You can free yourself from mental slavery. And it's not an excuse. It's escapism. Now, another thing, so what do we begin to do now? 2 things. And I suggested this to even Osun State government.
when they invited me to come and say, all right, we have been hearing you. Oh yeah, give us template, tell us what to do. First of all, I said, you needed not to even have called me to come and give you template. The template is in the development agenda in Western Nigeria. Number one, now that I'm here, this is what I want to give you. I said, please show me because this state, Osun, has 3 comparative advantage. 1, on agriculture, 2, on tourism, and 3, on mining. The whole of Ijesha land is sitting on gold. I said, okay, tell me, what is your registered company in which your citizens, Osun citizens, are working that is mining any gold? Show me one, except people from Nigeria Republic who will come and be mining your gold here, and you are complaining of environmental impact and yes. Secularized, he registered. Look, Baba Konde registered a company in 2003 before he left. He said, should be Osun State for mining. You know, some people thought that only federal government can do mining of oil. No, you can register your company to mine. You can register it to do refining of oil. If Dangote alone, a private person can do it, how much more a state? Look, it is the mental absence of mental magnitude. This idea of coming to Federation Account Allocation Committee and sharing money and disappearing, it is too tolerant of laziness. Do you know there's no single state in the oil producing areas that has a single refinery? That, okay, I'm Delta State. That's how they get the largest share. Show me your refinery. The state cannot even go to its own comparative advantage and make a mark. Can you expect it to make a mark in the comparative advantage of other people? And I say, okay, don't leave that. Okay, you don't have it. You fail in that area. Give me your agricultural policy. The team over there was sitting beside the governor. Give me your agricultural policy. Osun has none. I mean, none as in none. The team says, to my area, this land, you can do cashew, you can do cocoa, but no cassava, which is an annual crop. Don't you know there's a link between cassava and cow fuel? Agriculture can benefit a group of people, except they go industrial with it. It is when you say, produce 2 million metric tons of cassava, and it is being used by an industry producing starch. I gave them an example. I said, cassava pellets. I was in China, and they just need cassava pellets for the production of expients. The pharmacists know what I'm talking about. Expients in their pharmaceutical company. And you here, you are just sitting down. Look at your, just said it's 9,300 square kilometers. 9,000, that's about the size of the Gambia. And you cannot do anything with your arable land. No, you are a disgrace. And then the final one, you know, I said mining, agriculture, tourism. Give me your 5-star hotel that if I Oshogbo, I will launch. And there'll be electricity, there'll be security. See, the time has come for us to roll off our sleeves and do something for our fatherland. I thank you.
So we'll take the last questions now. In 5 minutes. In 5 minutes. Each. We have 1 minute for each person. 1 minute each. Sorry.
Thank you. I'm Akintola Mabel, Oyo State Controller of Anthem. Interested in the low-cost private schools. Thank you so much, Professor Ogunyemi, for your robust lecture. What I'm concerned about is how do we download this to our children? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay.
It's him who has the final word on whether a thing becomes a thing or it fails or refuses to become a thing. So don't we activate that? I think there's a group, Yoruba First. I think there's a group Yoruba First. It's one of the ways of activating the office of citizen. You think if you have Yoruba, take Yoruba First in all the states of the Southwest, including Kogi State, including Kwara State, when you have a significant chunk of Yoruba population, you think anybody will joke with you? Or they will not joke? When they want to write any development enterprise, they will consult you and say, Yoruba, think Yoruba First. Please, what do you think, sir? Do you think we should bring in, and I've said it, except we roll up our sleeves and that's the state where I live. I'm not from Oshun, but I live there and I pay my taxes there. Secretary, sir, I pay more taxes than you. 3,870 naira is the tax they take from my salary per month. And you are paying about 6,000. So I pay more salary too. I have more commitment to Oshun than you. So what do we do? I say, what can you do to just employment alone? He couldn't give me any explanation. And I said, okay, well, this is what to do. What tactics do you have? They said two. One in Ire, one in SRK. Okay. You see this polytechnic, if anybody scores 120, please admit him. Mobilize them into agriculture and server production. Give them a matching order and say 2 million metric tons per year and make the students to earn money from their agricultural products. When you do that, I tell you, they will say, I want to do this agriculture. Just say governor has done that. He went to import 200 tractors. I said, that's very good. You build these tractors, not portfolio farmers, real farmers, human beings, not Nigerians, so that they will do the work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. My question is of the Dawn Commission. Just question. Said something about a railway line connecting the whole of Southwest. And I know I've read it on your social media platform, the Dawn Commission, that the Dawn Commission has already developed a blueprint for a system to connect the whole of the Southwest that we join from Ibadan. Southwest Development Commission to ensure that we actualize the plans that you have.
Good afternoon.
I just quickly wanted to answer that. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adetunji Ogunyemi. I'm the head of special projects and funding at the Commission. Regarding the real infrastructure that you spoke about, the Southwest states are getting to it. In fact, there's a Western Nigeria multimodal agency that will soon be inaugurated, and the states have sent representatives, to populate that body. So that body is going to be responsible, for developing the project from risk analysis, cost considerations, financing. It's like a governing platform for that real project. So the roadmap has been done. The agency is put in place, and thankfully we now have SWDC who will come on board as well. So it's progress, and we will get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Prince. Then I think that was the last question.
Good afternoon. I must commend Dawn Commission and Odua for putting up this event. But my challenge or poser is to my younger ones here. I have been privileged to sit and interact with the older generation. But my worry is to you, my younger ones here. I have it either as a poser or a challenge to you, the younger ones. One, we have been here for over an hour. I have tried rummaging through the social media platforms
I am not seeing it either trending or in areas of discussion of what is happening here. Most of you do not trend such events, the lessons learned, and the benefits to you as a people on your social media faces. You don't. So sometimes I am worried that you clap and celebrate the good speeches, the inspirational words you hear at such events like this, and this is where it ends. You do not write about it on your Facebook, or those platforms for it to trend. But when a lady is being dragged out of the Ibom Air now, you are putting a word or two to it. My other question or poser, someone talked about library, someone is talking about history, but here I am. Are you aware that in less than maybe 2 or 3 months ago, the Oyo State government defaced a library at Dubai and turned it to a shopping complex? Are you aware? And what did you do?
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Godwin. Ṣebí lọ́dọ̀ ẹ̀yin bàbá wa. Please, ẹ̀yin lè máa sọ fún wa wípé àti kékeré ni ìmàlẹ́ ti máa ń kọ́ ọmọ rẹ̀ lásọ̀. So my question is, what is the faith of an average Nigerian youth or an average Western youth with all of this development and vision? Are there platforms for young adults to be part of this commission so that they can reward dire for the vision? As we are complaining about adults who are not taking responsibility, are there platforms to bring the younger ones to become what these are older ones do? That's my question, sir. Thanks so much for that wonderful question. So I would like to call he said it's not. So most of our questions can still be forwarded to the guest lecturer. So we would like Prince Adetunji to give us the vote of thanks. Okay, for the last questions, Mr. Shegun will like to give us a brief answer to it.
Okay, a very simple answer to that is that it's something we're already considering, and very soon we are going to launch a social mobilization campaign targeted specifically for young people, particularly in the tertiary institution. We call it the Yoruba campaign. We call it the Yoruba campaign. We have your email address. We'll reach out to you through that. So expect to hear from us very soon. Okay.
Thanks so much, Mr. Shegun. Please.
Thank you. One house, please. Well, today is actually the 20th edition of the Yoruba Historical Conversation. You know, we've had 20 episodes of this program, and coincidentally, we are also celebrating 60 years. One house, please. Please. If you keep talking, we have meat pie and salad and all kinds of things. We will not serve the food. I know it's because of item 7. Item 7 will turn to item 14 if you're not careful. So please, let's just maintain a bit of silence while we bring the program to a close. So in alignment with the primary theme of the Yoruba Historical Conversation, which we started in 2014, I believe, which is to connect the dignity of our past to the opportunities of the present, to capture the possibilities of the future. We're very glad that Professor Ogunyemi has been able to do justice to that in celebration of the magnificent edifice that is Cocoa House. Cocoa House at 60 is not just a celebration of an edifice, It's a celebration of audacity. It's a celebration of purpose. It is a celebration of good governance and a celebration of the possibilities of the future of Southwest, not just Southwest Nigeria, but the whole of the Black race. But it is proof that when we put our heads together, we can achieve great things. Chiparombi said one thing at an event, which I found very instructive. He was said it in Yoruba. He said, "Tí a bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ará ọ̀run, àwọn ará ayé ò tíì ṣe dáadáa nìyẹn." We have not done well. There's a lot of work to be done. We are talking of rail. Having rail in Southwest Nigeria is not game-changing. Some people have had rail for over 3 centuries. Some people have had constant electricity for over 300 years as well. So all these things are not innovations. They are not things that are magical or wonderful. But we have a template. We have a history, a checkered history as a people who build things. And we can still build our future. So I'd like to thank, firstly, the management and staff of Oyeleye Investments Company Limited. Cocoa House is different now. You come to Cocoa House, there's a lot of landscaping that has been done. The reception is beautiful. There's a museum, you know, at the penthouse of the building. It's a very different building now. And it just shows the vision is not dead yet. We might have hit a blind spot in the past, but the present management, a lot is happening at the house. And the GMD has gone, but we still have some team members of OICL there. Please, you can stand up for recognition, because they think it's fit to celebrate Cocoa House at 60. I would like to also thank my boss, the Director General of the Commission, Dr. Seye, Oyeleye, you know, for finding it important that we hold this special conversation in celebration of House. And also, our distinguished guests here, friends, ladies and gentlemen, you know, and I don't call them ancestors, they are vessels of wisdom, they are our advisors, they guide us. So we're very glad that I'm here today. And of course, my uncle here was recognized earlier on in the democracy today. You know, now everybody knows as a part riser. And finally, I would like to thank our guest speaker. I, as a person, I'm a beneficiary of the tutelage of our guest speaker about 20 or so years ago. You know, and there was one word that was always put into his vocabulary, and I was waiting for that word. He likes to use the word, "You have praised us once again today." So, Professor Ogunyemi, I'm very thankful, and I'm very glad, you know, because you are one of the few gemstones we have here in Africa. And I'm very glad that, you know, he's a very, very shy person, so to speak. He doesn't enjoy the limelight so much. But I'm glad that God has decided to now bring you forth at the right time. So this is just the beginning, sir. We are still coming back to you. I will come back again and again and again. So to everybody here today, I thank you all for listening, for enjoying the 20th edition of the competition. I thank you all for part of this edition. That's a question. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, àwọn ọmọ ọba àrùn ṣe máa ń ṣe nìyẹn. Ọpẹ́lọpẹ́ àwọn àtàwọn láti Kẹ̀rẹ́ta làwọn lójú. Anyway, we're thankful to everyone who was here today. We're thankful for this occasion, for spending time with us. The Historical Conversations, like I said, is an opportunity for us to connect the dignity of our past, opportunities of the present, and the future of possibilities. The way Dawn operates, Dawn has an open door policy. So if you have ideas, if you have things that you feel that we can do to enrich our work up to us at our 10th floor house. And of course, if you are the CEO of a company here, I have some spare money hiding in your account, and you don't need to spend it on. You come and sponsor some of our activities at Dawn, especially the Yoruba Historical Conversations. So I thank you all for coming. I thank you, Professor Ogunyemi, once again. 1 second. Okay, we'll have a photo session after this, so we can also, catalog this and, make it a historical location. Everybody here, we're glad you're here. We're glad for Cocoa House. Cocoa House makes us as Black people to say that you built something even before France. Like I said, it is proof that our enterprise as a people we only suffer from arrested development, but we'll get there. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your rapt attention.
Thanks so much, sir.
So, please, I request, I don't want, because I've been corrected several times by my daughter. And I sit, when I tell her, go and tell someone, oh, you ask. So, I want to request our students only, the students, to have a photograph with the speaker. The students only, please, now. Let's take photograph first. Students, thank you. Please. The students, some of you can climb on stage. Yes, guest speaker at say Prof. 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 Mabo, I want to be. So all the students that attend the senior secondary school in Ibadan called UI. So, Professor, please. Photographer. First, okay. Okay. Well, uncle, come and stay here. Come and stay here. Come on, lady. See, please come and stay here so that they can see you. Yeah, come and stay here. Thank you. Okay. Come and join us, sir. No. Mr. Shogo, you are representing Udua now. Please. Oh, yeah. One or two from the Ministry of Education or your state. Enjoy. Stop. Stay here, sir. Am I worried about what? Oh, yeah. Thank you. A small bit.
So we can have other photos outside. And we have our package outside. We've come to the end of the conversations. So much for we appreciate your presence.